Hello everyone and welcome back to Your Welcome, a podcast and YouTube focused on all things bettering yourself, improving your lifestyle, and just feeling overall well. Last episode, I talked a lot about habits, more on a micro level, smaller things that you can do and incorporate in your day to regulate your nervous system. This episode, like I mentioned, wanted to talk about more habits on a macro level, habits that are bigger to carry forth, but when you do, they have a lasting impact on your life. I don't think there's anyone out there who can say that they're 100% consistent with every single habit that they develop. But when you develop a habit and you do it for more than 30 days, it becomes natural, just like brushing your teeth every day or making your bed. It's something that you feel lost without doing at the same time. So even on days where I don't have the time to do XYZ of my habits, I might feel a moment where I'm feeling triggered, or I might have a moment where I'm like, hold on, let me go back to the drawing board. Let me go back to my foundation. And that is really I think the gem of life is developing tools and techniques that help you to establish a foundation and remain nervous system wise and emotions wise regulated. Okay, so number one is journaling. And I will never stop talking about journaling because I tell you, it changed my life. Like, there are so many things that I did when I really started to get serious about my spiritual journey and like my personal development. But the largest thing that impacted my life was beginning the process of journaling and journaling consistently. And at first I would journal every single day because that's what I needed. That was what my brain needed in order to change those neural pathways and develop a better feeling about myself, to develop a better sense of self-worth. I needed to. Now, do I journal every single day? I can't say that I do, but weekly, yes. Multiple times a week, yes. When I feel triggered, do I automatically go back to journaling? I do. It is something that I can rely on. And when I tell you, I just can't explain how beneficial it is. And so there are multiple forms of journaling, but future self journaling is my absolute favorite. Future self journaling helps to reprogram your subconscious mind and rewire your neural pathways. And that's really the basis of neuroplasticity, which is a huge scientific word. And this is not a science podcast, but since I am a psych major, since I was a mental health counselor, I feel like it is still important for me to incorporate that stuff, in my podcast and in my YouTube channel. So with that being said, that is exactly what it does. And essentially, our conscious brains are always feeding our subconscious minds things, whether they are good or bad, whether they are true or not. Our subconscious brain doesn't know the difference. And so the more that you give your conscious brain, and you tell your conscious brain, and you are intentional about what you speak on your life, what you write about your life, what you visualize for your life, your subconscious brain then takes those notes and goes, oh, okay, great. So we'll inspire her to do this. We'll inspire her to do that. And I don't know about you, but any inspired actions that my subconscious brain is feeding me, or that source is feeding me, I want to be aligned with the future that I see for myself. And so with future self journaling, a lot of times if I'm feeling a certain way, or right now, because this is a perfect example, I'm currently shopping for a new car. So I future journal what that new car feels like, how accomplished I feel. Like, I remember when I used to drive XYZ and now I have my dream car, and I'm so excited to be able to show this to my friends, or whatever it be, whatever your example is. It's so powerful because it really removes that doubt from your brain the more that you do it. And again, it's not easy. It took me a very long time. And like I said, for a couple of years, I journaled consistently almost every single day. And now it's not so hard to shift from the negative to the positive. It gets easier as time goes on to do it. And so, but you have to start somewhere. And it is a habit that is probably going to be the most challenging, because you really start to question your worth. You start to question the people around you. You start to question your job. You start to question what you told yourself that you are or are not capable of accomplishing. And the more you eliminate those limited beliefs, the more your subconscious brain believes your conscious brain. And it's like, oh yeah, we actually are worthy. We actually can do this. And so the more that you do that, the more the intuitive guidance and the more the inspired actions start to like seep into your brain, and you start to have those aha moments, and you start to take those steps forward. Because a lot of times, again, if you don't know that you're worthy of something, or you question your worth, even if those inspired actions come up, you might not take those intuitive hits or follow them, because you're like, but that can't happen for me. Like, I'm not capable of that. I'm not capable of being a millionaire. But the more you challenge those limited beliefs, the more you when those inspired actions come into your brain, the more you follow them, and you're like, oh, let me go do that. Let me go do that. And that's really what I aspire to be, is to always follow my intuition, to follow inspired actions, that I get those little hits that I get from the universe. And so again, highly recommend journaling. Okay, last time I also talked about watching better things, more positive things, listening to more positive music. And the reason why I put this as a micro and a macro habit is because it can be hard to change the way that you, like, the things that you listen, like, to what you, like, the programming. Because again, just like programming your brain, it can be hard to change the habits of what we are accustomed to watching and listening to. And for me, I was really accustomed to listening to a lot of hip hop, a lot of rap. And I noticed that I was listening to a lot of masculine based music, not music that necessarily made me feel like a divine feminine woman. I was listening to a lot of, you know, like, honestly, rap that is demeaning and misogynistic. And do I still listen to that stuff? Yes, but I pick and choose when I do. And I just try not to do things that are gonna make me feel worse. So for example, I have the perfect example because it's just happened yesterday. So if anyone watches Bravo, then you're aware of the whole Summer House scandal with Sierra, Amanda, and Wes. Something very similar happened to me in 2024 with a so-called friend and a guy at the time I was dating, and we had just like stopped, you know, seeing each other. And so yesterday I felt triggered. I felt triggered by it, and I had a moment where I was like, okay, like, I don't feel like all the way regulated nervous system wise. Like, no, was I punching walls and none of that? No, but I just felt like it hit me harder than I really wanted it to. So I had the option of like a few things, but when it came to like my time to like entertain myself and watch TV, I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch this new show on Netflix. It's called Something Bad Is Gonna Happen. And it's basically about like commitments and relationships. I was like, let me watch that because that'll probably hit. And then I'm like, no, why would we watch something that's probably gonna make us feel worse? Like, no, I'm not gonna watch that. I'll save that for another time. Instead, I put on Shrinking, and I already mentioned this on the last episode. I love Shrinking on Apple TV. It's actually like the #1 top show right now, which it honestly deserves. Highly recommend, and I got some good laughs out of it, some giggles, and I felt like I made the right decision for myself, because if I would have in turn watched something bad is going to happen, something very bad is going to happen, I would have continued to think like negatively. Okay, and I wrote down some scientific evidence, because let me tell y'all, because I was a psych major and a master's like school dropout for clinical counseling, I have done so many research papers, so many dissertations, like so many peer-reviewed things, that I just became a little lazy. But I wanted to make sure that I had some scientific evidence, data, you know, to help with this with my information that I know works. But if you're a scientific person, then you can develop your own, like, oh, this may work. Anyway, so this research shows, a study found that watching just 3 minutes of negative news in the morning makes a person 27% more likely to report having a day that is unhappy. And I think that that's so true. Like, I don't understand, like, especially like when my older folks, like my mom or my dad or my grandparents, first thing they do is turn on the news, and it's death, murder, war, the economy. How could you have a good day? How could you have a good day? Like, I can't possibly imagine starting my day like that. Ick. So I would really encourage, if you do that and you're an anxious person, especially as I am, I'm a very anxious gal, that I would really try to watch something better in the morning, or just try not to watch TV. Try journaling in the morning, listening to a positive musical playlist. I have one that is called, I think it's called like High Vibes or something, and a few songs that I have on there are Just Like Magic, Ariana Grande, Be Optimistic. I forget what the band is called, but that's like one of my favorite songs to go back to. As long as you keep your head to the sky. That song, great. I highly recommend that one because remember, the focus with doing the work to improve your nervous system and your wellness is to change and reprogram those neural pathways. So any habit that you are doing that you find is detrimental to your mental health, just switch it to something better. So instead of watching a scary show, watch something happy. Instead of listening to B word, B word, B word, guns, violence, listen to something that's gonna improve your brain on a biological neural level. Okay, the next thing, and this is more of a beauty but also a health thing, the next two things, detoxifying through lymphatic drainage. So I love a lymphatic drainage drop. I just started them a month or two ago. I have the Mary Ruth's one. Love it so much. I can definitely tell a difference. Like, first of all, my allergies aren't bothering me crazy. I think I had 1 or 2 days earlier in March when my mom came to visit where I felt like crap. But pollen wasn't even out like that. Now pollen is everywhere and I'm totally fine. So I really recommend that. And I can just see a difference in the definition of my face and just how I don't feel as bloated. It also has echinacea and some other like things like herbs in there. So not only are you aiding in your lymphatic drainage and like feeling skinny, but you're also helping your immune system and your energy levels. Like, there are a lot of times where I don't have coffee and I feel totally fine. Like today, I haven't had any coffee and I feel great. And what I add my lymphatic drops to is the next one, so I can just segue right on into it, and is drinking bone broth. I've already talked about this too. I've been drinking bone broth now consistently, I feel like for a year. First of all, look at my hair. I can say I do tend to grow my hair pretty fast, but I was having trouble, especially when my cortisol levels were higher and I was feeling stressed out, especially like the back of my head. It was a little ridiculous, you know, Mad TV reference. But now I feel like my hair is growing so much faster. The back of my head is growing back. I feel like it's thicker, so that is a benefit. It's also great for your immune system. It's great for collagen production for your skin. Like, I'm a big skin girl. I think my skin looks great. Yeah, I don't get bumps like that, or very rarely. So I do think that that is because of the collagen production, like that I have produced. Okay, the collagen that I have produced over time, because again, I've been doing it for a year. And again, these are macro habits because you're not going to see results instantly overnight. It's going to take some time, so trust the process. But to my bone broth in the morning, so I drink bone broth in the morning on an empty stomach. That is the key for me. In the morning on an empty stomach, warm bone broth. After you brush your teeth, of course. Please brush your teeth and scrape your tongue, I beg. Okay, please. And then after that, you drink your bone broth. I add the lymphatic drops to it. I add just 1 milliliter to it, and then I add turmeric. I just eyeball the rest of the things, but turmeric, ginger, cayenne pepper, black pepper. I'll add thyme to it, and I feel like I add something else. Celtic salt. I love a Celtic salt. Celtic salt is great for hydration as well. So I'll add those to it, and I'll sit and I'll journal. I'll watch another inspiring YouTube. I'll read a book, or sometimes like today, I had to do some work so I could record this and do other things I need to do today. So I drank my bone broth while I did some work on my computer. Whatever it is. Oh, and I played with my son Luno. So I did that at the same time. So anyway, it's beneficial. It's easy. You can take it on the road. It's not something that you have to like really focus on. Warm it up, call it a day. I've even taken it in a cup on the road when I've been super busy. There's really no excuse to not do it. And my mom was like, bone broth is so gross. And it doesn't look the most pleasant, if I'm honest. But when you warm it up and you add herbs and seasonings to it, it just tastes like you're drinking chicken soup, child. I promise. Just get it down. You drink worse things for yourself, okay? I know you had a shot of Don Julio or vodka or something probably over the weekend. You can do this, I promise you. And this is good for you. Do things that are good for you. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna talk about, and this is something that I used to struggle with, and I still struggle a little bit with taking vacations, but mandatory rest, rot, dilly-dally days, whatever you wanna call it, a mandatory day. I at least have one day where I'm gonna rot, I'm gonna rest, I'm gonna dilly-dally. if I can choose, if I had the perfect week, I would have one dilly dally day, one raw day where I don't go anywhere, I don't see anybody, I can just be ugly in peace. And rest is so beneficial for your nervous system regulation because you're slowing down and you're reminding yourself that it is okay. I often remind myself when I do have my rest day and I'm like, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. Of course, if I have major things that I need to be doing, yeah, I'm gonna go do that. But on a day where it's slow and I don't have much going on and maybe just a few admin things that I could do, I just take that time to have a rest day instead. And it is such a reminder for your brain that it is okay, that you need rest, that you were not made to be a machine. We are not AI, we are not robots. We need moments of peace, moments of like to rejuvenate, to have clarity. Like it's just, I think of it sort of similarly as meditation, where they say like with meditating, you are like finding that gap between yourself and God and source. It's the same thing with rest days. You're finding that gap to allow the creative juices to come back, to feel rejuvenated, to feel more energetic, to feel more positive. And especially as a working woman, not as a working woman, that sounds like I'm in the 1960s, child, but especially as a woman with hormones, as an entrepreneur, burnout is so real. And it's real even if you have a 9-to-5 or you're a stay-at-home mom. Like regardless of what you do, you deserve to rest. Remind yourself of that. And I constantly remind myself when I do rest, I make money when I rest. I make money when I sleep. I make money all sorts of times of the day. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. But I put that reminder into my brain to challenge myself, to take that time to myself and to not allow myself to get burnt out. And often when I do have those 1 or 2 days where I just didn't work as hard, I feel rejuvenated. Like I can just get right back to it. Like I'm excited to get back to real estate stuff. I'm excited to get back to my podcast and my YouTube channel. So I really honor that time. And research shows, you know, I love a little research in this episode. Research shows that 40% of 9-to-5 employees do not allot all their vacation time, mental health days. Y'all need to be taking more time off, especially at 9-to-5, because them people don't care about you. I mean, not saying that they don't care about you, because it is very ideal to work in a space that is healthy and where people care about you. But these big companies like Google and Facebook and these health insurance companies, they care about their dollar. And so you need to put yourself first too and utilize the time that you are given to rest. And again, I'm telling myself this when it comes to vacations because I have not taken a single vacation this year. We have ended the first quarter. I didn't go anywhere for my birthday, and I'm starting to feel a little bit resentful of myself. And so even today I remind myself, those 1 or 2 days are great, but just imagine a week off, a week where I can just completely recharge. How will that like affect my business in a positive way? My businesses. Think about that. And I challenge you to take more rest for yourself. Okay, so that was all for this week's episode. I just felt like the last time that I spoke about micro habits and smaller things that you can do to challenge your nervous system, I really wanted to explain more on a higher level of how it benefits your neural system and like your neural pathways and changing the way that you think about yourself and the way that you just maneuver through this world. And that has been something that I've really challenged myself when it comes to my spiritual self-development, like inner work journey, is to find ways to make my life easier, find ways to make my life better. And if my brain is in working condition, not even working condition, but the best working condition, as far as me knowing my self-worth, me having the confidence and constantly working on like the thoughts that I have and observing those thoughts, observing the things that I do and striving to do better, the better I'm making my life. And so let that be your main focus of this episode, is doing things that are going to better your life. And if there are habits in your life that are completely impeding you from the next level, challenge yourself to do something different. Challenge yourself to allow yourself to dream bigger and to have a better sense of self-worth and like you can accomplish anything in this world, because I truly believe that about myself. I believe that about you, and I truly want that for all of us, because we can all win in this lifetime, guaranteed. On that note, if you liked this episode, if you really resonated with it, I would love a 5-star rating, whether that's like if you're on podcast. If you're on YouTube, then a thumbs up or a comment on either podcast or YouTube. Podcast is on Apple and Spotify, and then YouTube is obviously on YouTube. So anyway, I really enjoyed sharing my tidbits and habits with you all. If you have any habits that you develop that you think that I would love as well, because child, like I said, no one is perfect, and I'm always a work in progress. I'm always accepting that I'm a work in progress. And so as time goes on, I'm going to add things, subtract things, make my life better. Anything that's gonna make my life better. So share those with me, share any comments that you have. Anything like that, I'd love to hear your feedback on. So anyway, I hope that this episode was great for you. Happy April, happy Friday, and I hope that you have a blessed weekend. Talk to you guys later. Bye.